Hey there, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, we welcome you and thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be making two different jelly preserves. We're going to be making raspberry preserves and grape jelly. These make great gifts, and now is the time to get working on your Christmas gifts. One thing you can make at home is homemade vanilla. It's time now to go ahead and start getting your vanilla diffusing into your choice of liquor: vodka, rum, bourbon, whiskey. I'm not sure. I use vodka for mine. I can leave a link in my cards up here as to that video that I have made that before. You can make your pepper jelly, the cowboy candy. There's so many things you can make for gifts. And today we are going to be doing raspberry preserves and grape jelly. I am making these for gifts. If you can see all my jars out here on the counter, and I have more in my pantry. We are making lots today. I probably won't show you all of them because you have to make, they want you to do one recipe at a time when you're canning preserves. So I'm not sure, I might just show like one recipe of each, and then I'll get those canned with you guys, but then I will make all of mine. I'm not going to take you through the process of all of them. So let's just get started. We're going to start with our raspberry. This raspberry, I am getting it from the Ball Home Preservation Cookbook, and I will leave this link in the description box if you're interested in getting one. I'll leave all my canning supplies in the description box. It doesn't cost you any extra to use my links. It just helps my channel out. And we are using the recipe on page 62 that's choose a berry preserves, and it's literally just your berries and your sugar. You cook them down to your right consistency, and that's it. It's preserves and jellies and jams. Those are the easiest thing if you're new to canning, to start canning. It's a water bath process. It's quick and easy. Pretty much no fail, because if they don't set, you can always use them for a syrup, an ice cream mix-in, a pancake topping, anything like that. So jams, jellies, preserves, those are all like very basic and good ones to start with if you're new. So let's get started. So the recipe calls for, one recipe is 8 cups of berries. And I don't know how many cups of berries I have. I have just all these pouches of frozen raspberries. So I'm just going to start measuring. All right, so that looks like about 8 cups. And to this 8 cups, we are going to be cooking that with 4 cups of sugar. So we're going to move over to the stove top and get cooking. Okay, so it says to put our berries in our pot. And so what I did was I had enough berries, and because this isn't a pectin recipe, I figured it was okay if I multiplied my ingredients. So I have a recipe and half in each pot. That's how many raspberries I had. So I'm going to add that much, a recipe and a half of sugar to each pot now. It says to let our berries sit here for about 10 minutes until the juices start releasing. So we're going to go ahead and measure our sugar. So we'll need 6 cups of sugar per pot. This is a lot of sugar, but you're not eating all this sugar at one time. All right, so I'm going to give these a stir, and then we're going to let them sit for about 10 minutes till the juices start coming out. All right, because my berries were frozen, I went on and turned my burners on low to kind of speed up the process here. And so they started releasing the juices. It says now we're going to turn up to a medium heat. And I've decided to go ahead and use my meat chopper here to kind of break up the berries some and kind of speed this process along. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring all these to a boil, and we want it to boil hard until mixture thickens, about 10 to 15 minutes. And so what I've done also is I've put a little glass plate in the freezer, and that's going to be our gel test to see if this is thick enough that it's going to set up. Because in about 10, once it comes to a boil for about 10 minutes, we'll do a little gel test on it to see if it's thick enough that it will set once this cools. So I'm gonna get these berries mashed up some, get them breaking down faster, and I will bring these to a boil, so we will be back. Okay, we are just starting to come to a boil, and what I'm gonna do, a trick for keeping the foam down, because this will produce a foam that you'll end up skimming off if you want a very clear preserve. So the trick is to put about a tablespoon of butter in there, and that helps reduce all that foam. So we're going to do that. And also what I'm going to add, which is not the recipe, is a pinch of salt. So we're coming to a pretty good boil over here. And it says we need to boil this for 10 to 15 minutes to reduce it down. So I'm gonna stir it occasionally, let it boil, and then we will come back to do our gel test. Pretty liquidy right now. All right, we'll be back. Okay, we've been boiling pretty good for about 12 minutes. I'm gonna drizzle some of this on my cold plate. I'm gonna do some from each pot here. And then the goal is, let's let it cool for a second. I'm gonna stick it back in the freezer actually. Okay, so the one on this side is from this pot. We'll drag our finger across and it doesn't really come back together. We'll do this one. Same. So we are ready. I'll turn my fire off. And we're gonna load our jars up. So I have my funnel here that I'm putting in my jars. I'm gonna use a little measuring cup here. That's my favorite way to load my jars. We're gonna leave a 1/4 inch headspace. I'm just gonna ladle all this, and then we'll put our lids on. So we'll be back. All right, so here's all of our jars we got from our raspberry, and I'm gotta clean the rims with my vinegar. I have this handy vinegar dispenser that helps me put my vinegar on a paper towel, and then I can wipe all my rims. There's a lot of sugar in here. You want to make sure your lids seal down properly, so you want to make sure your lids are, or your rims are good and clean. So I'm gonna go through and wipe all these off. All right, so we have all of our rims wiped off. I did do 2 larger jars for us to have here for us, and the rest of them will be gifts. And then, so we have a new lid and ring that we're gonna put on fingertip tight. We'll just screw these down, that's it, fingertip tight. So I'm gonna get all the lids on all these, and we'll get it into the pot. Oh, if you'll notice, there is no foam on the top of these. That butter allowed no foam to form on the top of the preserves. So that's a good trick to have. All right, so when you're canning, you want to have equal temperatures. So we had hot preserves we put in our hot jars, and I have my water heating in my water bath canner here. So we have hot water in here. We don't want to shock our jars and cause any breakage. You also need a rack in the bottom of your pot so your jars do not bang around, and that also can cause breakage. So we're gonna load our canner up. These are 4-ounce jars, like I said, and one benefit of using the small jars, or I don't know if it's a benefit, but it's one of the things that you can do when you have smaller jars, is you can double stack. but you do put a rack in between your stacks. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna load this up. Let's see if I can fit one more in there. All right, now I'm gonna put a rack on here, and then I can put another layer of jars on top. So I'm gonna finish loading this up, and then you need to have 2 inches of water on top of your jars, and you'll bring this to a boil, and these will process for 10 minutes once it comes to a boil. So I'm gonna get that going, and then once it finishes processing for 10 minutes, you'll turn your burner off and let them cool in the canner for 5 minutes before you take them out, and that's when we'll come back. Well, we'll do our grape in the meantime. Okay, so our pot is, we'll say it's boiling, so we'll do 10 minutes on our timer for that. And then here we're gonna start our grape jelly. So we're gonna do 2 recipes in the pot together. And so we need 8 cups of our grape juice. So here's our 8 cups of juice. See if I can pour it in there without spilling it. Turn my burner on. And then no heart attacks here, but we'll need 14 cups of sugar. Alright, so here's 8. I'm going to get 6 more. There are low sugar pectins you can get that require less. You can actually use any amount you want. Alright, here's the rest of our sugar. We're going to bring this to a boil, and we want it to come to a rolling boil. So we're turning our heat on high. We want to bring this to a full rolling boil. Once it becomes to where you can't stir the boil down, we're going to add our pectin to it. So we'll come back when we're at that point. All right, so we're at a rolling boil that we cannot stir down. I did put 1 tablespoon of butter in here like we did with our raspberry preserves. Now I'm going to put 2 packs of pectin in here. Like I said earlier, this is 2 recipes. And then once we get this stirred in, we will cook this for 1 minute. Turn this down a little bit. We don't want to boil over. All right, bring this back to a boil, and we'll set the timer for 1 minute. Once it comes back to a rolling boil, there we go, 1 minute. These have finished processing. I'm going to pull these out. We will ladle these into our jars, clean our rims, and put these in the canner for 10 minutes again. And then we will see what we have when we're finished. All right, y'all. We have all of our preserves and our jelly finished. I will unstack these. You should never stack your jars on top of each other. I will unstack these. I just had to do this for the picture because there's so many jars. We have 40 4-ounce jars of grape jelly, and we have, I lost count, 27, 29, 33 4-ounce jars, and then I did 2 8-ounce jars of the raspberry preserves. So we got all that done today. This is a lot of gifts. Um, I think I'm trying to think of like how much time it took actually doing this, videoing things. It makes it take almost twice as long. I think it was just about 2 hours worth of work to get all this done. So this is a very doable project that you can do and have homemade gifts for your friends and family. So I hope you give these recipes a try. If you haven't subscribed already, we ask you subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.